All right, guys, it's over. The IRS as we know it, it is done. Yesterday, over 30% of the IRS's auditors resigned in a single day. Why? Because President Donald Trump just pulled the pin on the biggest financial shakeup in American history. And that's not even the half of it. In fact, at the very same time, right? Very quietly, Social Security just made a change that will permanently impact how every American accesses their identity, their benefits, their future. But there was no press conference. There was no big rollout. But if you're on SSI or SSDI, let me know down in the comments. Or if you're just planning to retire one day in the future, you need to know what just happened. In today's video, I'm going to share with you guys exactly why President Trump's war against the IRS is just the beginning and what he's planning to do with your taxes next. We also need to talk about how your Social Security card's going fully digital this summer and what that really means for your privacy, and why Biden's quiet $8,000 checks for federal retirees, they've got people asking, where's mine? Comment down below if you did not yet get an $8,000 Social Security check yet. I want to hear from you guys. This is not a drill. This is a permanent shift, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why some are calling this the end of the IRS and the beginning of a cashless, government-tracked future. So stick with me, guys, because we're going to go ahead and expose the truth like we always do right here on the Ron Yates channel. I really appreciate the support. Oh, and if you haven't already, please take a second, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So first things first, we need to talk about the resignations that just rocked the IRS, okay? So according to the internal agency sources and corroborated headlines, 31% of IRS tax auditors just quit. Think about that. 31% of IRS tax auditors just quit? That's right, guys. That's like 1/3 of their entire enforcement staff gone overnight. Why? Because President Trump and his Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE, just made it very clear. The days of government overreach through endless audits, they're over. And so here's the kicker. This was the plan all along. Trump signed an executive order halting all new IRS hiring, freezing expansion efforts, and making sure that not a single new agent will be brought in under his watch. Now, if you've ever been audited, drop a quick yes in the comments down below and let me know how much you enjoyed that process. But now, why is this such a big deal? Well, it's because under President Biden, they wanted to add 87,000 new agents. And let me know if you heard that those 87,000 new IRS agents were armed with guns or not. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Anyway, so these 87,000 new IRS agents, they were aimed directly at auditing small businesses, middle-class families, and even tipped workers. If you're a 1099 worker or a 1099 business owner, drop a 1099 in the comments, guys. But Trump, he's doing the exact opposite. He's not stopping growth. He's actually tearing the IRS apart from the inside. And what we need to talk about is how Trump's war on IRS waste and funding is unfolding behind the scenes, and why some are saying the entire tax system might be unrecognizable by the time he's done. But before we get to that, let me ask you real quick, would we be better off, or do you think we would be better off as a country with no income tax? Just a quick yes or no on that one will do. But stick with me because Trump has a plan for that too. So let's go deeper, right? The reason that so many IRS agents resigned is because President Trump's DOGE task force, they started surgically slashing the IRS budget from the top down, okay? They've been identifying all sorts of massive inefficiencies, wasteful contracts, and bloated salaries, and then cutting them out without hesitation. This isn't just a tweak. This is a full-blown dismantling of what President Trump calls a weaponized agency that's used to punish working Americans. And it's working. The IRS's budget has been gutted. Entire enforcement units are reportedly being downsized or even eliminated. This is a total reversal of the Biden era expansion, and President Trump, he's making it very clear. Government doesn't get to grow while Americans suffer. Can I get an amen on that? Now, the goal here, the IRS's control over the American middle class. Now, of course, we're going to talk about how President Trump's plan to eliminate income taxes entirely is gaining a lot of steam, and how his tariff strategy could make it happen. In fact, yes, this will also affect your Social Security too. So stick around with me because this next piece of the story, guys, it's bigger than any tax cut we've ever seen. Consumer alert, guys. Most people think, or actually most people just go ahead and pick the wrong Medicare plan and they end up paying hundreds over what they should be paying. They're overpaying by hundreds of dollars. Why? Because most agents, they only share with you a handful of options. And that's why Chapter is different, okay? So Chapter and their advisors, They compare every plan in your area. They verify your doctors, make sure you're going to be taken care of very well, and they check for hidden benefits that could save you big. If we look at Julie in Kansas, she's saving $400 a year right back in her pocket. Jamie in Texas, $600 returned to her Social Security. I mean, in times like this, who couldn't benefit from an extra $600, right? And they're totally free. So why are they even doing this, right? Well, their parents got screwed over in the same Medicare situation, being put on plans that weren't good for them, overcharged left and right. It's ridiculous. They're 65 years old and they were just taken advantage of. So they started this company called Chapter because their own families, their own parents, they were misled. So anyway, I'm going to leave a number for Chapter down below. Give them a call. Let them know that Ron Yates sent you. You can just say Ron. They know me. Anyway, hit them up. Call them at 909-563-8279, or you can hit them up on the website, askchapter.org/Ron. Make the smart choice before it's too late. All right. Anyway, so here's where things go from bold to absolutely historic, guys. President Trump, he's working pretty hard toward a complete elimination of federal income tax for Americans, specifically Americans making $200,000 or less per year. Now, if that's you, then you are a part of the 95% of the country, which is nearly every working American. Now, think about what that means, actually, right? No more IRS audits, no more federal income tax withholding from your paycheck. Can you imagine? You ever look at the gross versus the net? Can you imagine keeping the entire amount, like keeping what you earn? Now, before you ask, how is this even possible? This isn't just a campaign promise. This is part of a strategic economic reset that's already in motion. In fact, President Trump said it himself. The goal is to fund the government without taxing the people. His plan? To replace the income tax entirely with tariffs on foreign goods, turning global trade into a revenue source that benefits American workers instead of punishing them. What's wrong with that, right? I think it sounds like a great idea. And if you guys are with Trump on this IRS elimination, drop a 47 IRS in the comments, guys. Show your support for President Trump's efforts to eliminate the IRS. So here's how it works. President Trump's tariffs, they're already bringing in tens of millions of dollars every single month already, right? But the numbers are rising. And by placing higher import taxes on foreign competitors, well, Trump is protecting American factories. He's creating U.S. jobs. He's generating enough revenue to phase out income taxes for the middle class. I think that this is like amazing. In fact, his team is saying that tariffs can easily cover the 28% of federal income tax revenue that's currently paid by Americans that are making under $200,000 a year. And get this, Trump claims that these tariffs, they have already secured over $5 trillion in U.S. manufacturing investment, with another $2 trillion on the way. That's $7 trillion. That is no small chunk of change. Not only could this eliminate income tax, it could also spark a massive economic revival, all built on American labor, not globalist outsourcing to China. Now, of course, the left is panicking. Media outlets, progressive politicians, they're all sounding the alarm that, oh, Trump's plan is going to balloon the deficit. But is that really true? Plus, of course, we need to talk about how this IRS takedown is just the beginning. In fact, also how Social Security is about to change forever. And so now that President Trump is dismantling the IRS and he's slashing income taxes and looking to replace revenue with tariffs, how is the left responding? Well, exactly as you might have expected. Meltdowns. Progressive media outlets are calling it reckless, irresponsible, even dangerous. They're saying President Trump's plan is going to balloon the national deficit. But let's talk the real facts, right? Thanks to cuts made by Trump and Doge, the federal budget is actually shrinking for the first time in years. That's right, it's actually shrinking. And all the IRS resignations, well, they're being hailed as proof that the agency was bloated with waste. Meanwhile, Trump supporters, they're celebrating this as basically a long overdue win for Main Street America. So let's be real, guys. For decades, politicians were saying, we'll cut taxes for the middle class. Have they ever done that? Seriously, have you ever seen politicians cut taxes for the middle class? Trump is the first one actually doing it. And that's why Washington insiders are panicking. Now, if you thought, Trump's takedown of the IRS was big, wait till you see what just happened to Social Security, your benefits, your identity, and of course, your retirement will never look the same again. Now, starting this summer, Social Security Administration, they are going digital. Your Social Security card, this is something that's been a fragile piece of paper for decades. This is now going to be available on your phone or your computer through your My Social Security account. Now, just drop me a quick 1 if you think that this is a safe, good idea. Drop a 2 if you think that this is not safe and it's not a good idea. So the SSA just announced the launch of a secure digital SSN card that will allow you, basically, it'll let you instantly access your number without needing a physical card, a physical copy, right? No more mailing delays, no more in-person office visits, and most importantly, less risk of identity theft is what they're saying. So the SSA's acting commissioner says this is a part of a larger modernization effort in order to streamline access to protect personal information. But here's where it gets very interesting. Is this digital upgrade just about convenience, or is this a test run for a future where IDs, benefits, and even your money go 100% digital? Like, what's the next step here, right? Well, stick with me, because what we're about to discuss next, this could be the beginning of a cashless, government-controlled future, and it seems to already be starting. So this move to digital social security cards, this isn't just about convenience. We always know that there's more to that with the government, right? It's kind of a part of a complete overhaul of how Social Security operates in the modern era. The SSA is aiming to reduce in-person visits entirely. They're looking to cut back on mailed replacement cards, and they want to slash the administrative delays that have been frustrating seniors for decades. This is a major shift toward streamlined digital-first governance, but it's also raising some serious questions. Will this physical card eventually go away completely? Will offline Americans be left behind? And could this be the first step in a federal push for an all-digital identity and currency? Now, I already know some people are asking, is this going to be CBDC, Ron? Central bank digital currency? Well, critics are warning already. If your social security number is online, well, what's stopping the government from tracking how, where, and when you use it? Right? Doge's secret role in this transformation is exactly what we need to talk about here, and how Trump's war on waste inside the Social Security Administration just cut billions of dollars in spending and forced out thousands of government workers. If you remember Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, they weren't just targeting the IRS, were they? They've also been hard at work inside Social Security, and the results are staggering. Under President Trump's orders, Doge identified over $1 billion in waste, cut bloated contracts, and reduced the SSA staffing from 57,000 down to 50,000. They even processed over 350 deferred resignations and 3,000 voluntary exits, slashing payroll left and right while improving the turnaround times. So they have less people and they're doing the job faster. That's not just reform, that's a purge. This is a forced reset of a system that many people felt was broken beyond repair. Now, President Trump's team, he says it's all part of the America First benefits agenda, promise to protect retirement programs without taxing the benefits or hiring armies of bureaucrats. Lord knows we don't need any more of those guys, do we? Well, of course, we need to talk about the massive clawbacks that are already starting. Now, if you were overpaid by Social Security, your checks might be wiped out entirely until the balance is cleared. Now, show of hands, guys, has anybody received a letter from the Social Security saying that they have been overpaid? Let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. And also let me know if you know what to do to be able to fight back on that, because you don't necessarily have to pay that money back, but a lot of people don't realize that. So if you're just now joining the live, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to know what's going on with the IRS being eliminated and the latest updates on Social Security. So the next part we need to talk about, it's already happening. And by the way, if you're probably just joining us on live, you might want to just kind of rewind it back to the beginning, because you're missing a whole lot. Anyway, the next part's already happening, catching a lot of people off guard, unfortunately, especially seniors. March 2025, mark your calendars, right? The Social Security Administration quietly increased its default overpayment withholding rate to 100%. I said it slowly on purpose, but let me say it again. That's 100%, guys. Basically, if the SSA is saying that you've overpaid them, then whether it's their mistake or not, they can now withhold every dollar of your future benefits until that debt is cleared. Now, think about that for a second. Bad luck, we'll just call it bad luck, right? Let's just say through bad luck and error on the Social Security Administration, they send you a letter saying that you were overpaid and they decide to withhold 100% of your pay, right? Well, what does that look like? Well, what it looks like is, what day do you normally get your Social Security payment? Because I don't think most people are getting paper checks anymore. Most of you guys are getting it direct deposit to your bank account, right? Well, whatever day that is, imagine that day comes and goes and that deposit never comes. That's what it would look like if they decided to withhold 100% of your pay. And that's clearly not okay, right? It's clearly not fair. So again, if the SSA is saying that they overpaid you, whether it's their mistake or not, they're now legally allowed to withhold every dollar of your future benefits until the debt is cleared. Under Biden, the clawback rate was only 10%. Under the new Trump era policy, it's full seizure until your balance hits zero. Now, of course, the SSA estimates this move alone will save the government $700 million a year. So on the one side, that's the good thing. But at what cost, right? Now, for thousands of retirees living check to check, paycheck to paycheck, this change could be devastating. And obviously, that's not good. Now, imagine retiring, you're budgeting every dollar, and then your next check doesn't show up because of an overpayment that you didn't even know about. Is that fair, guys? I don't think so. And if that wasn't enough, there's this new fraud prevention system that's getting rolled out right now, and it's supposed to be changing how claims are verified and how your identity is tracked. So the SSA is now using AI-assisted phone screening to validate your identity during phone calls, right? So that means if you call in to file or manage a claim, the system runs behavioral analysis, voice pattern recognition, hesitation detection, and even speech cadence matching. Now, it sounds helpful until you realize what this really means long term. Well, the SSA says in-person or online identity verifications now only required if irregularities are detected. But let me ask you something. Who gets to determine irregular, right? And how long before these systems get connected to other agencies or other records or even financial institutions? Well, critics are saying that this is all part of a creeping digital surveillance state where every benefit becomes an invisible string attached. Now, this leads me to kind of bring up something else. Could all of these changes, digital IDs, clawbacks, fraud detection, actually threaten Social Security's future? Well, of course, I'm gonna go ahead and break this down for you guys. I want to break down the funding crisis. We're going to break down President Trump's tax exemption plan and how it could accelerate the collapse timeline. You're not going to want to miss this. So let's try and connect the dots now, because this next part is where President Trump's IRS takedown and Social Security reform actually collide. So President Trump's plan to exempt tips, overtime, Social Security benefits from federal income taxes, it's extremely popular, especially with the working class. And I'm pretty sure everyone watching this show right now is on board with that. Like, are you guys okay with exempting tips, overtime, and Social Security benefits from federal income taxes? Let me know. But here's the problem. Those very taxes are part of what funds Social Security. Right now, payroll taxes account for 91% of all Social Security revenue, and taxes on benefits add another 4%. So when President Trump removes those taxes for millions of Americans, it creates a massive revenue gap. Now, according to the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, ending these taxes could shrink Social Security's funding by $1.9 trillion over the next decade. Now, that's not just a little dent. That's a deep, gaping wound. And it could cause the trust fund to run dry 3 years earlier than expected. So what happens if they don't fix it? Well, the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, they've already warned if nothing changes, then the Social Security Trust Fund will be depleted by the end of 2034, which is just 9 years from now. And when that happens, benefits for everyone, yes, even current retirees, would be cut by 23% across the board. Imagine getting $1,000 a month right now from Social Security, and then suddenly it drops to $770 with no warning, no phone call, no appeal process, just a massive, sorry, the money's gone, we ain't got it. And remember, these are not entitlements. These are earned benefits. Americans paid into the system their entire working lives only to be left scrambling when they need it most. So why is it that some retirees just got $8,000 checks under Biden's Social Security Fairness Act, and why millions of others are still getting left behind? Plus, we need to talk about the public outrage over inflation and the question that's driving this entire reform effort: where is my raise? So here's where things get even more personal and, believe it or not, even more controversial. If you go back to January, earlier this year, January 2025, President Biden, he signed the Social Security Fairness Act just before he left the office. This sent out $5,000 to $8,000 in retroactive payments or checks to over 3.2 million federal workers impacted by the WEP and the GPO. These workers, they also saw their monthly checks increase permanently. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, unless you weren't one of them. Because while these select retirees were celebrating, there were millions of other people, working Americans on SSI or SSDI or standard retirement. They got nothing. Now, comment down below if you're one of those folks that didn't get anything, because I'm pretty sure that there are a few of you out there watching the show that didn't get anything. No bump, no retroactive check, no $8,000 surprise hitting your bank account. Just the same old small COLA adjustment that disappears the second inflation rises. And now the big question that's being shouted across social media, town halls, and newsrooms is, well, where's my raise? Where's the boost for the people who paid with every paycheck that they had earned, but they don't have a federal job to fall back on? Well, let's talk about the real pain here, guys. Inflation. Social Security recipients are falling behind. Rent is up, groceries are up, medication's up. Am I lying here? Is rent not up? Are groceries not more expensive? Is medication not more expensive? But that Social Security check of yours, was it rising at 2% or 3% a year while prices are climbing by double digits? So many people they're calling it a broken promise. They say this isn't a safety net anymore. It's a slow bleed. And with the looming trust fund shortfall, retirees they're fearing that the worst is yet to come. President Trump's team says that the plan to eliminate taxes on benefits will actually help offset this. But critics are arguing that even if your check isn't taxed, it's still not growing fast enough to survive the reality. And so now here's the final piece of the puzzle. With digital Social Security cards rolling out this summer, and with fraud detection and AI systems being baked into the process, it's pretty clear we're entering a digital first era. No more paper IDs, no more analog claims, no more offline options, unless you're willing to wait weeks for a system that's quietly getting phased out. Is this the beginning? Well, Federal Reserve has already floated the idea that physical money could be a relic. It could become a relic, guys. That means that the Biden administration has already explored digital currency pilots, and now Social Security goes paperless too? You see what they're trying to do here, right? I'm pretty sure you guys are putting the final piece to the puzzle here together, right? Some are asking, is this modernization or is it control? Because once your identity, your income, and your benefits are all locked into federal portals, the government has the power to grant or deny access with a single click of a button. Final word for you guys. I want to bring it all together. Trump's IRS takedown, the digital transformation of Social Security, and what this all means for the future of freedom in America. You've now seen it all, guys. The IRS gutted from the inside, 31% of IRS agents gone overnight, hiring frozen, budgeting slashed, Trump's bold plan to eliminate income taxes for the middle class and replace them with tariffs that protect American jobs. And let's not forget, Social Security revolution already underway, digital cards, AI fraud prevention, clawbacks, and a total overhaul of how benefits are getting delivered. This isn't politics as usual. This is a systemic reset. Whether you support these changes or fear what they mean, one thing is very clear at this point. The systems that we've known for decades are being dismantled right now. Trump's goal, empowering working class Americans. The concern that in the rush to digitize, centralize, automate everything, we may be walking into the next most tightly controlled area of government oversight ever created. The IRS may be going away. Paper Social Security cards may be vanishing, but so might the last remnants of personal financial freedom. Unless, of course, the people watching videos like this one stay informed, alert, and vocal. So I definitely want to hear from you guys now. Are we witnessing the return of freedom or the rise of a digital cage? Is President Trump's plan the solution that we've been waiting for, or is this the beginning of something that we don't even fully understand? Let me know your thoughts, guys. I want to hear you guys. If you support the IRS takedown, just type "no more IRS" down below. Now, if you're glad Social Security is going digital, just type "it's about time." But if this whole thing makes you nervous, I want you to type "watching closely." And as always, smash the like button if this video opened your eyes. Be sure to subscribe for more uncensored updates on what's really happening behind the scenes, behind the headlines. And make sure to share this video with someone who needs to know the truth before it's too late. And also, if you're 65 or older, if your parents are 65 or older, give our friends over at Chapter a call. I'll leave the link and their phone number down below. Tell them Ron sent you and just simply ask them. Again, it's totally free. They don't charge you anything. It's totally free, okay? All I want you to do is say, "Hey, Ron told me to call you to see how much I could save on Medicare." That's it. All right, guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. Be safe. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.